Kenya, the cradle and the crown of Africa, where the Indian Ocean waves meet the Savannah winds, and the snowy crown of Mount Kenya looks down upon plains alive with elephants and lions. There lies Kenya, a land of deep roots, many peoples, and unbreakable spirit. Its story is not one chapter, but a saga that stretches from the dawn of humankind to the bustling rhythms of today. The dawn of humanity. Kenya is not just a nation, it is the birthplace of mankind. In the Rift Valley, archaeologists uncovered the bones of our earliest ancestors. Fossils like Luce's kin and Turkanaboy whisper of the first humans who walked upright, hunted with stone tools, and gazed at the same sky we see today. This land remembers footsteps older than kingdoms, older than nations, older than time itself. Kenya's soil holds not just crops and rivers, but the memory of all humanity, the peoples of the land. As ages passed, different peoples came to settle. Each brought their ways of life, their languages, and their gods. The Kikuyu farmed fertile highlands, worshipping Nai, the god who dwelt on Mount Kenya. The Maasai, fierce and proud, herded cattle across open plains, their wealth measured in cows, their warriors adorned in red shukas and beadwork. The Luo fished the wide waters of Lake Victoria, their songs rising with a splash of nets. The Kamba became master traders, walking long caravan routes. Along the Swahili coast, the Arabs, and Persians mingled, blending traditions into a new culture of coral stone towns, dhow sails, and Swahili poetry. Kenya was, and remains, a land of many nations within one nation, each people proud yet bound together by the land. The call of the sea. The ocean brought outsiders long before the Europeans. For centuries, the Swahili coast was alive with trade. Arabs, Persians, and Indians sailed in, their dhows catching monsoon winds. They traded gold, ivory, and slave for spices, cloth, and glass beads. Cities like Lamu, Mombasa, and Malindi became crossroads of culture. Mosques rose, poetry flourished, and Swahili language was born, carrying within it the rhythm of both Africa and Arabia. The Portuguese came in the 15th century, building Fort Jesus in Mombasa, seeking control of the coast. But they, too, were eventually driven out as local power and Omani Arabs reclaimed the shoreline. The shadow of colonization. The late 19th century brought a new storm. Europe carved Africa at the Berlin Conference, and Britain claimed Kenya. The fertile Central Highlands were seized for white settlers, pushing Africans into reserves. The building of the Uganda Railway cut across the land, linking the coast to the interior. Thousands of Indian laborers were brought in, many settling permanently, forming the vibrant Indian-Kenyan community. But the railway was more than steel and smoke. It was a symbol of conquest. Farmers were forced into cash crops. Taxes drained their labor, and the land that had fed generations was fenced off of foreigners. The flame of resistance. Kenya's spirit could not be broken. In whispers, in meetings under fig trees, in the forest, the seeds of rebellion grew. The Mau Mau uprising, 1952 to 1960, became the fire of resistance. Fighters took oaths in secret, retreating into forests to wage guerrilla war against the British. They were branded as terrorists, imprisoned, tortured, and executed. Villages were burned, families torn apart. Yet the Mau Mau endured. Their blood soaked the soil, but their courage lit the path to freedom, the birth of a nation. In 1963, the dream of independence was realized. Under Jomo Kenyatta, Kenya raised its flag for the first time, black for the people, green for the land, red for the blood of struggle, and white for peace. The drums of the Mau Mau were replaced with the drums of celebration. Across the country, people sang, danced, and prayed. After decades of chains, Kenya was free. The many faces of modern Kenya. Today, Kenya is a land of contrasts and unity. In Nairobi, skyscrapers rise while matatas race through the streets, their painted bodies shouting music and art. The city hums with tech startups, earning it the name Silicon Savannah. In Maasai Mara, the earth shakes with the thunder of the Great Migration as wildebeest cross rivers while lions lie in wait. In Lamu, donkeys still carry goods through narrow coral streets, and dhow sails rise with the same wind as centuries ago. Farmers in the highlands grow tea, coffee, and maize, their work feeding the nation and the world. In athletics, Kenyan runners dominate the globe, carrying the country's flag in marathons and Olympics. their endurance rooted in generations of resilience. Kenya is also a voice of art, literature, and culture. From Nggwa Thong's novels to the songs of Sauti Sol, Kenya tells its story not just in history books, but in every melody, every poem, every dance. The soul of Kenya. Kenya is more than borders and politics. It is a cry of a newborn on Mount Kenya slopes. It is a chant of Maasai warriors beneath a blood-red sunset. It is a call to prayer echoing in Mombasa. It is a sound of a marathon runner's steady breath on distant streets. It is a whisper of ancient ancestors still walking the Rift Valley. Kenya is the cradle of humankind. Kenya is a lion's roar at dawn. Kenya is the heartbeat of East Africa. And Kenya's story is still being written by farmers and fishermen, by leaders and children, by all who call it home.